So welcome everyone to our April 2021 Kinney Corridor Collaborative Board meeting. This meeting is being recorded for replay on our Facebook and YouTube channels. We do have a quorum of our board members here. Last time I introduced everyone, but maybe this time we'll be a little more formal and go around and have you each talk, perhaps, so people can hear your voices. I'm Judy Babcock, the chair and president of the Kinney Corridor Collaborative. Duke, would you like to go next?
Sure. I'm Duke Welter, vice chair of the Kinney Corridor Collaborative and chair of the fundraising committee. Good to be with you.
Yeah. And David, would you like to go as treasurer?
I'm David Foster Babcock. I am the treasurer for KinniCC.
Okay. And Amanda?
I am Amanda Hanson, co-chair of the PR committee.
And Scott?
And I am Scott Ection. I believe the official title is director at large, but I would say a board member of KinniCC.
Right. And Michelle?
Hi, I'm Michelle Maher, and I am the vice president of the Kinney Corridor Collaborative.
Great. And not able to join us tonight is Caitlin Meyer, our secretary and other co-chair of the Public Relations Committee. We often have Brant Johnson representing the city of River Falls. He may join us a little later. So I don't think there are any other guests showing up in our meeting, but people are welcome to join. It was posted on Facebook and it's open to the public. So thank you. The agenda was sent out in advance. I would accept a motion to approve the agenda unless there are any concerns.
I will move to approve.
Duke moved to approve.
Yep. And I'll second.
And Scott is seconding.
Mhm.
Any discussion, concerns, or conflict of interest?
Nope, we're good.
None.
None? Hearing none? All right. All in favor of adopting the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
I
Opposed, same sign. Hearing no opposition, the agenda is adopted. I will read the mission since that's part of our agenda kickoff, which is to work collaboratively with public and private organizations and individuals to assemble the technical and financial resources needed to implement the current Kinnick River Corridor Plan, preserving and managing the ecology and beauty of the Kinnick River.
Very nice.
So that is what we work with. We've got lots on our plate as we talk today, so thank you for that. Minutes approval from the March 9th meeting. Caitlin sent out the minutes. Before I ask for a motion to approve, are there any questions or concerns? Okay, I'll accept a motion.
So moved.
Scott, so moved. Need a
Second.
Duke, seconding. You guys are alternating here. All right, any questions, comments, edits, or discussion? Okay. Hearing none, I will accept votes for approval of the minutes. So I'll say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the minutes are adopted. Thank you. Partner organization overview. So I had opportunity at a recent Rotary meeting to hear an update from the Hope for Creation group, which Michelle has been involved with as well in the past. I don't know, Scott or Amanda, if you've had that opportunity. But they had, before COVID, a very nice community engagement activity going on with some action groups that all kind of got put on hold. So Bill Montgomery and the former superintendent, I cannot think of his name right at the minute. Maybe Michelle can think of it.
Westerhouse.
And a couple other folks from the various faith community representations and community at large were at Rotary and gave an update. I spoke to Bill afterwards about their outreach to partner with other organizations and our mission at KinniCC, and invited them to come and talk to us either this time if they could, which was a little bit short notice because that was a week ago, or next time. So maybe in May they will be able to come and give us a little update on what's new with them. I think you'll be interested in that. And then we can talk about as an organization if there's a way we could recognize kind of a co-partnership on some of the projects that might be implemented under the corridor plan. Certainly their focus on green energy, renewable energy, conservation all fits with some of the other initiatives we've talked about. So it seems like a good fit. And they have a really nice reach into the faith community. So I think it's a good thing for us to consider. Michelle, do you want to share anything? I mean, you worked with them too on some of their promotional activities.
Well, I didn't get a recent update. I was not at that Rotary meeting, Judy. So I can tell you that is a robust community, at least it was at the time, and they were very productive. So they're real boots on the ground kind of organization in my mind. They get things done. So even if it's a small task that we can co-work together on, they're really good at implementation.
And I see Branch Johnson has joined us. Thank you for that update, Michelle. I appreciate your support of them. They are definitely people who know how to get things done in our community. So definitely folks who want to connect with, I agree. Any other questions about that organization? I can link you to their website or share more about the background depending on what they plan to bring forward, but hopefully they'll be able to join us in May.
Just to confirm, Hope for Creation is a faith-based organization?
It
Is that
but it's non-denominational. So we have 9 churches, the City of River Falls and the UWRF, as well as partnering on some conservation and solar power projects with the school district and the technical college.
Mhm.
So very broad connection across a lot of key sectors that we would want to reach. So if nothing else, just being able to keep them informed about what we're up to will give us more impact. So
Nice. I think that's a really, really good key group to key into the conversation.
yeah, so they're looking to broaden their partnership links. So if we join with them, we by benefit of that partnership link. So that'll be good. All right. Any other questions about it? Okay. Financial review. I sent along a report for the first quarter and prior 6 months, or 3/4 of a year report, if you will. We'll talk about it here briefly, but before I have that discussion, I guess I'd accept a motion to consider approval of the report.
So moved.
So moved by David, he helped prepare it, and
Second by Duke.
Second by Duke. It's gonna be really small because it's in the stuff. So, all right, so I'm gonna bring that up quickly here so people can see it. So, you see that okay?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
If you have the screen. So basically just letting you know that we had set a budget last year, hoping that we would either have a partnership with the city as the fiscal sponsor for some granting, or have some of our own fundraising, because things were a little uncertain as we came into the end of 2020. We are below our expected revenue, but we'll be able to get going a little quicker now because we've got clearer direction from the city on when things are going to be happening. And then our operating expenses are shown on the next page with some of the other slides. But for this year, we spent more money than we've taken in so far, but we had money left over from 2019's fiscal year. So, in terms of cash in the till, we still have cash on hand and it's fine. So our net assets at the time of this report were $5,000 with a restricted fund balance of $1,400 for a couple of, one for grants and one for the decommissioning plan that we're starting to focus on raising money for. Brandt and the city were our fiscal sponsor for the surface water planning grant that was awarded last year. This planning grant was last year. And then we applied for another grant this year, but as far as I know, Brandt, it has not been awarded to us. I think they've made their announcements and the city was not on the list this time, correct?
Correct, yes.
So just confirming that. So that funding didn't come through as we'd hoped. To find another source. Duke's very busy about that. And we made a Network for Good grant application, but that was not awarded either. That was a small amount for some social outreach. So we'll keep trying though. Those come up every quarter. So that one we might hit on eventually. Questions about the information in the report? For expenses, we're going to be focusing on raising money for the Powell Dam decommissioning now that we're going forward as a community. There's a dashboard view and some notes on page 2 about how our money flows and what we focus on.
Judy, were you thinking you're sharing that with us right now?
I thought it was shared or didn't share, huh?
No, we're seeing the agenda still.
Let's try.
You might want to,
Uh,
yeah, you shared the agenda.
This
Do you
one.
have to unshare that?
I just have to share a different one. How about, see that
That's
now?
better because we can see it. Can
Yeah.
you scroll back up real quick
Sure.
so that we can see what you were talking? There we go. That looks much better. Okay. Now you can scroll down.
Oh, wait a minute, in case people are reading it on the recorded video. The attachments include our dashboard and some notes about our accrual-based accounting and some how we categorize our income and expenses between restricted and unrestricted.
Mhm.
Those things shouldn't be new to you. We've gone through a couple of board financial education sessions, but if you have any questions, let me know. And then our budget to actual report gives you a quarter by quarter view through the first 3 quarters of our fiscal year. And the statement of financial position is a wrap up from where we were as of March. And then our donations and statement of activity. So that's that part of the financial report. Questions, comments, concerns on that report? If not,
It-
I will accept. Sorry, Duke, go ahead.
Yeah, it could be noted that as part of the effort to carry out the city's legislative agenda, various groups within Trout Unlimited have contributed toward paying for the Wisconsin TU lobbyists' expenses for taking on this issue. The city's pursuit of, or the pursuit on the city's behalf of a legislative allocation for the Owl Falls project. We need $5,000. We have, as of this minute, as far as I know, we have 4,500 from a variety of state and national and Midwestern chapters. And we expect that the last $500 is going to be approved tonight by the Kayaptowicz chapter. So that's $5,000 that'll be paid by those donors directly to the lobbyist or to Wisconsin TU to pay the lobbyist. And then we hope that we'll be able to get a meeting set up and with different parties and get this underway so that a week from Thursday, when the Joint Finance Committee meets in Menominee, we'll have the opportunity to appear and support that part of our agenda.
Great. Well, that's really great work by our partners. Thanks for helping them organize that support, Duke, and sharing that. I know we had offered, or you through TU had offered that support, and the city was very eager to have that professional support. I know Michelle and others have advocated for getting a professional who knows the kind of the lay of the land at the Capitol kind of on our side. So that's awesome.
And this guy has worked with Wisconsin TU, and he already has a charge for the organization that has been its primary item, which is reauthorization of the stewardship program. But since we were bringing a new item, it cost a little bit more.
Okay.
And he speaks, he's well regarded in the Capitol, speaks fluent Republican. It's great.
Very good. Very good. Well, that's
Who is that,
wonderful.
Duke?
But his name is Brandon Scholes, and he has a full slate of lobbying clients, including, for instance, the Wisconsin Grocers Association.
Yep.
Very
Yeah,
experienced.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
You know, it actually, if I might request, I guess for myself, and then also for any folks who may watch this after it's posted, would it be possible, or this may be on the agenda for a later item as well, but would it be possible to go over just a quick brief overview of where the licensing is standing currently between the city and FERC and the DNR? Because I know that's been right at the forefront right now.
We certainly could do that. Let's complete the financial review and then we can take that up if that's okay.
Okay, if you guys are feeling.
Thank you for asking.
Mhm.
Yeah. Any other comments on the financial review or notes to make? All right, all in favor of adopting the report, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. The report is adopted. I just want to cover this other item. So to your point, Scott, the city has submitted their letter of intent, or however they're directing it, to FERC to tell them they're taking steps to remove Powell Dam and turbine generator from the current license.
Mhm.
And they submitted their draft license application for renewing the hydro operation license at Junction Falls. And Brand, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And then all of the related reports that they had to submit also went in. So if anybody's a FERC subscriber on this project, you got about 12 emails this last 2 weeks. And I also had a hard copy. So if anybody doesn't subscribe but wants to read the license application, I actually have it on a DVD so you can review that. But yeah, they've submitted everything. And Duke, you can chime in as well. When we met with Brandt and Kevin Westhouse and Scott last Thursday to talk about various parts of this project and where we were at, they will do what they can, obviously, to encourage FERC to move quickly so that the authority for Powell can be moved to the state DNR. But they also are cautious as an administrative entity. The staff will only say it could take up to 12 months. It might not, but we can't guarantee anything, right? It's up to the executives that make the decisions. So as far as we know, the city submitted all the required information, but they could get more questions. So we'll see what we can. Duke, you can say if I'm right or wrong, but I believe the next request for us as partners, all the organizations behind this, is to now pile on, right, with our letters of support, saying we
Yes.
all agree this is the right action, and please make a quick decision. Don't drag your feet.
Yep.
Because we don't want to miss the window of the summer or fall work opportunities to work on the river and protect it, right? So until we sort of have clarity on this, it's difficult to do much. So
Are we sending one letter or individual letters?
So like Kinney River Land Trust, Charlene and I had chatted about doing a joint letter, for example, from our two organizations, since we're pretty well aligned. And she doesn't have the capacity maybe to write a separate one. So they could either take a model one from us, or we can do it together. She'll have to present options to her board when she gets back on the 20th.
Right.
For TU, I believe the KIAP chapter is going to submit their own letters, as they've always done. Duke, they have kind of their own agenda that they're supporting, and again, it's more information.
Supported by the Wisconsin State Council as well.
Correct. So, and that gives them a chance to highlight the things that are critical to their, monitoring plan and so on. So they have some key points they want to make that would make the letter longer if we did it together. So yeah, and the more individual letters, obviously, the better from FERC's standpoint, right? It shows community support. So organizations like the Prairie Enthusiasts, who've had an interest in this project, and Grow to Share, who had stepped up as an interested party, and then us as individuals can all sort of submit something to the Federal Regulatory Commission, say, please move forward quickly.
Would it be helpful to have something from the Chamber of Commerce?
Might be. Scott, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's
support
a great idea. I would imagine that Russ would be able to get a letter issued very quickly. And is our letters from the business community in town relevant, or more so from citizens? Or
I think
I think that
anybody can write. If you want to write a letter, Scott or Michelle, you certainly can.
The more,
Can
the
I
more the merrier.
suggest, guys, I've done a ton of this lately because of, my organization with the business. And that being said, it's almost always we provide a template and then get people on board, because you got to make it easy if you're going to ask a bunch of individuals to set in a letter, and then they fill in those little places that it's specific to them. But that is what is going to our state and federal legislators all the time, are really template form letters that are coming out of our organization, so that they can see the overall support. Numbers matter. They say it every time. Numbers matter.
Yeah.
that's a really good point, Michelle. And that would probably help to, encourage some good, clean submissions rather than having letters written that may be, I guess, a little bit in the weeds as far as, oh, this trail should be here or this parking should be there, and which are all legitimate and relevant things. But in this particular circumstance, it should be more of a, as you said, concerted letter. So.
Yep. And we've done those template type letters, Michelle, for our grant application, so we can certainly take that and fine tune it for this. I just haven't had a chance to do it yet. Between Duke and I, we can get that done. We wanted to have a conversation with the lobbyist first to make sure we had all the key points that we wanted to bring forward, or at least give them to the audiences who are writing the letters so they could consider including things that made sense for them or their organization.
Well, this is primarily concerned at this point with the legislative appropriation. And if we're talking about a legislative appropriation as opposed to urging FERC to get on with its process, those are two different urgings.
Yep.
And I think they'd both be appropriate.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll have two
Is
templates.
this something, once we have a template, that would be pertinent to share with our email list subscribers, with our social media followers, as something they can do that can help us out for relatively little to no cost?
Yep, we can certainly do that. Similar to the campaigns Friends of the Kinney did. Yep. Okay,
Wouldn't be hard to
So-
do in constant contact, constant contact, sorry.
So for the time being, just one last question on this. Does it make sense to hold tight until we have a concerted letter established, or do we have a current link or an email address that we can be sending these letters to?
I think I heard that they need to talk to the lobbyist.
Okay.
And we're working
Yeah,
we're working hard to set that up right now, and I'm waiting to hear from the Wisconsin TU legislative folks on what they've got set up. They've got an outstanding request to the lobbyist.
Okay. Nice.
great.
Awesome.
So things are moving along in terms of trying to get the legislative support, and we'll share more about that in a little bit. So just a reminder, in the financial section, we did in our MOU commit to raising direct or restricted gifts for the Powell decommissioning plan and work. Given the direction that the city has indicated that pulling the turbine, opening up additional flow space within the turbine and powerhouse, Duke and I have kind of affectionately dubbed our work effort now Pull the Turbine campaign, so to speak.
Pull the curb.
Just to try to get it lifted and out of the way, and it's kind of catchy, right? So
Well, pull the plug works too.
pull the plug works too, right? Pull the plug. Yeah, off life support. So in our mind, to kind of do some of the other things we want to do besides what we would committed to support in the MOU, we'd really like to see total gifts around $100,000. We have $10,000 already in pledged or paid commitments toward that, and now I'm starting the individual calls back to the donors who we talked to a year ago, and then things got put on hold. And so if anybody wants to have a conversation about making a pledge or a gift, and I will be calling each of the board members or talking to you or following up with you just to see any support of any amount would be great. We always like to say we have 100% board support if we can get it. Understand, given the economics of COVID, if that's not possible right now, that's fine. But we'll be looking to kind of get those commitments corralled and scheduled out to be paid over the next 2 to 3 years as the city does their work. So it's going to be good works for us. Questions about that? More to come on the campaign design and details. We'll work with the PR committee on all that good stuff. But yeah. Okay. All right, board recruiting. We had a good conversation about this last time. We're looking to try to bring those board members, new board members or renewing board members on board in the May-June timeframe. So just keep that in mind as you're having conversations in the community. If you have a good candidate and you want to invite them or you need information to share with them, let me know, let David know, we can get that for you. And we've got materials we've shared in the newsletter and previously when we were recruiting campaign members, so our board members. So we're set for educating them if they're interested. Okay. Public relations. So a moment of celebration. Right? The Public Relations Committee and Duke pulled off a wonderful webinar panel on March 25th with our guests from Baraboo, Colfax, and Merrill representation, the DNR, and so on, and former DNR. So well done, everyone. A round of applause.
Yay!
And if you didn't get to see it or sit in on it, it's up on our YouTube channel, and we've been using Meet Edgar, right, Amanda, to promote rewatching that or parts of that.
Yeah, so the cool thing with Meet Edgar is we're able to schedule them to go out, and depending on what we have coming down the pipeline, we can share that archived content again to better align with, hey guys, remember 6 months ago when we talked to so-and-so about this, and now we're doing this, and just refresh your memory, here's what they have to say without having to completely redo all of the content. So it's been a really fun tool to learn how to use.
Yep. And then David, you're slicing it up into sort of pieces by the questions that were asked, right? So
We finished the titled version of the whole hour-long video, and that went up to the YouTube channel today for the PR committee and Duke to glance at. I sent out an email telling everybody. Duke was very kind and backed me up on the captioning. If you thought captioning a 15-minute video was something, an hour-long, kind of your eyes go cross after a while. We got it done, and it's up there now. Now I'll go back and I'll slice it by the questions asked, and there'll be smaller segments that we can post. Again, the links will go up into Meet Edgar, and Amanda and Caitlin will work on a schedule of release or replay.
And I just have to compliment David again for hard work putting this together. This is tedious
Absolutely.
and it's an amazing job. So David, kudos.
Thank you,
David.
I'm glad we found something to keep you out of Judy's hair for a while.
There you are. I'm in my little office, and the little lights are low, and there I am captioning away.
Yeah, it's a marvelous job.
All right, so I think the marketing committee is also working on partner video snippets of a few minutes each. That's continuing. And now as we talk with those partners, we can share a little more news. We did our quarterly newsletter, right? That all went out
Yes,
successfully in March. Well done.
Nice piece.
And the city has moved to completely electronic newsletter updates, Brent said, and they've shared in kind of some of their news. So if we have content, I think we could probably submit it anytime and they can fit it into their schedule. But so we might want to put together something around these videos for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Okay. Any other updates from the PR group?
I mean, I don't think so. I unfortunately have had a lot of personal life stuff going on that I haven't been as diligent in reading my emails. I know we have a meeting on Tuesday next week. If anybody wants to join, let us know. We're happy to send you the link. We've corralled Duke into coming all the time now. He can attest, we're pretty fun.
I was just going to say, Amanda and Caitlin are running a fabulously fun group, and even if I don't have anything to contribute, I'm going for the fun, so it's worth it.
Good.
Thanks, Duke.
Amanda, are you guys by chance looking for additional members for the committee if we run into
Always.
the community with those talent?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Always. We are not going to turn down volunteers.
Okay.
Boy.
With our little one on the way, I'm not casting in my hat, but I do. A few people come to mind that I'd like to maybe chat about, or chat
Awesome.
with.
Yeah, absolutely. If they ever want to meet with me or Caitlin, either virtually or in person, we're happy to do that too, more on a one-on-one kind of basis.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for all of you guys' work.
Indeed. Thank you for helping make us visible. All right, Duke, this is the section that you're the chair of. You want to go on with projects and funding?
Well, I'm going to jump to that page of the agenda so I don't leave anything important out. All right. Well, I thought the panel on the 25th was really productive. It was a good discussion. There were really good questions. People were firing in good questions, and there were, those folks knew what they were talking about. I just thought there was a lot that was brought to River Falls by that. So that's a great start for us. That I really love seeing that. I am on the pre and post monitoring plan. Kent Johnson and Kai Aptewish are working with Interfluve on that, and I'm not privy to those discussions. Maybe Judy, if you have something to add there that I haven't added anything, but they're working away on it, and Kent has his own approach to that. So that's going to have to get into a form that has dollars attached to it and science attached to it and all that sort of stuff.
So David and I are continuing to fly each week, weather permitting, and providing that content through KinniCC as a donation. So that seems to add value to that monitoring plan and is part of what they're counting on using. So
yeah. So the as far as the fundraising, the approach for fundraising to go to the legislature. One of our fundraising committee members, Scott Wagner, has talked a couple of times with Shannon Zimmerman, as has Scott Morissette, and also I think that Brandt and Scott Simpson from the city have also talked with him. And the gist is that there are several options that could conceivably be available to us to pursue for state funding. And the first one, and the one that I've thought was a good possibility because there is precedent for it, is to pursue something from the state stewardship, Knowles Nelson Stewardship Program. But that program is also up for reauthorization and for determination of what the budget's going to be, that it's going to be authorized at. And it is, as Shannon puts it, a hot potato this session. I think that when you get right down to it, it's not a matter of whether it will be reauthorized. There are some people who don't like stewardship in the state legislature and would like to simply croak it, but they can't come up with a majority in the Republican caucus or in the legislature. So what they're going to do is they're going to try and keep it to a short reauthorization and not much change in the $30 million a year. Governor Evers has proposed reauthorization at 10 years and $60 million a year. That's still less than what it was during the 2008 to 2010 period, which was $80 million a year. So anyway, stewardship is a hot potato, and Shannon recommend that we not pursue that. But two other options do present themselves, and one is simply an allocation of general purpose revenue, and the other is an allocation of the $6 million that's proposed for the state DNR municipal dam removal program, which is one that presently has a $400,000 limit and some competition. But what has been done in the past with that program has been, the legislature has said, we're going to allocate X dollars from that program, and we're going to for the Paul Falls Dam removal, and we're going to direct that the $400,000 maximum doesn't apply. And so we're either going to be pursuing a legislative GPR allocation or an allocation from the municipal dam grant removal program. Brandt's working on a fact sheet from the city to talk about what's been spent, what's been contributed, what the budget estimates are now, and that will hopefully give us a number that we can use to make our ask of the legislature and the Joint Finance Committee next year. Generally, you could expect that people would be, when it comes to general purpose revenues that come from sales tax, income taxes, and federal aid. See, Amanda, that the legislature would throw nickels around like they were manhole covers. But this year, we also have $3 billion of COVID relief money. And it turns out that the state's income and sales tax revenues are higher than had been projected. And so they are not in a strapped condition for cash for general purpose revenue in this budget cycle. So either of those options could be possible, and that's what we're working to set up this meeting with the lobbyist to see what his recommendation is going to be, and then put a strategy together for that April 22nd hearing in Menominee. Judy and I at least are signed up for that, aren't we, Judy?
David will be down at the Mayo that day, so I would need to ride with someone, but I imagine if the city's going, Duke, I can arrange something with the city or whoever to head over there. Yep.
Okay, and I would hope that we will also have the TU chapter there.
Yeah, I'll try to ride. I'm not worried.
Well, no, Judy and I'll work it out. I can get a car.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where we are with the legislative priority. I'm really grateful to the city council and city administration for authorizing this push to be part of the city's legislative agenda, because they were adding an item to it at our request. So that's a big step. We'll find out in the not too distant future what the upshot of the joint finance response is. In the meantime, the lobbyist and TU's two legislative guys that usually haunt the capitals are going to be going around and meeting with other members of joint finance and the legislative leadership to break the ice on this thing and discuss it with them and answer questions that they may have. So it's good to have them on our side because they're pretty well known in the Capitol.
Which will help us make the case at the very least, right?
Yes. No guarantees, but it's a really nice opportunity, and we're working to get our ducks all set up in a row. There's a geese, whatever. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else you want to cover? The other stuff is a little bit of older business on those grants, including the economic placemaking, the Main Street grant, some other foundation work.
Yeah.
So.
Those are not as important to us right now as a legislative.
Yeah. So
the legislative decision making.
Weeks.
Yeah. And we'll also be touching base with the governor's office, probably through DNR, to ask them to encourage Governor Evers not to line item veto anything that we might get approved by the legislature for River Falls.
Thank you.
So Okay.
Keep everybody informed. All right. Any other questions about the fundraising initiatives with the legislative effort or other parts?
Thank you for your hard work, Duke.
Hi, David. Thank you. You're welcome.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Duke. That's big stuff.
It is.
It is.
Can I ask here, I was noticing on some of the Wisconsin grant watches that there's a few grants kind of pulling up for municipalities kind of working together for extension of bike trails. And I'm wondering if this is something we can think about doing now.
Michelle, that's something that is part of the development of the parkland after we get the dam out and the surface area sort of restructured and the corridor in place. And between stewardship and federal, I think the 5-star urban grant is also kind of along the same lines for recreational development that benefits economic development within the community. Those things are a little bit down the road yet. I'd love to eventually be applying for them. But right now, it's kind of all hands on deck to try and convince the legislature on this thing. And then we need to be working on the Cabela's and the Patagonias and the Rutabagas of the world to get their support for the corridor restoration. So, you know, eventually that's gonna work, but I don't think in this year, because if we don't get a legislative appropriation, we're back to a slower schedule, and we will be relying more on city money. As the city, Scott Simpson and Kevin Westhus said, the city's committed to take out this dam by 2026. And if we don't get another dollar, we're still going to do it with city money. But if we can do it by 2022, by putting funding together from a variety of sources, that'll speed it up by as much as 4 years. Then the city's in a position in the 22-23 grant cycle to be seeking funding from these urban recreational grants.
Right.
So I think we need to set the stage, but we need to keep on top of those too.
Yep. So good point. Thank you, Michelle, for raising that, and Duke for explaining where it fits. Yeah, and I don't know, Brand, if you know if the city recreational group is pursuing anything, or you know if there any of those grants are on your radar at the city.
Probably not right now, but we are. We're going to be doing our comprehensive plan for the city, and then we're thinking about tying in like a bike ped master plan with that as well, and I think one more other plan. I think, but that's going to be done like in 2022, 2023. So at the moment, we don't have any big, I would say, trail projects, I guess you could say, for this year or next year, off the top of my mind.
Yeah. So some of these grants, you almost need to have the plan already to be able to implement like a shovel-ready strategy, right? Versus being able to get planning money, which is harder to find. So interesting. Yeah. Okay. Good to know, though, that they might be on the radar, especially with the comprehensive planning community engagement session coming up maybe in the fall if all goes well, right? Okay. Good. Good point. Other questions, comments, points to be aware of? Any other business, new or old?
Well, let me suggest. Right now, we're putting a lot of effort into the legislative side of the fundraising, and that's because the iron is hot and it's time to strike. But we need some help, and we could use a couple more people on the fundraising committee actively working to explore some of these grant opportunities. I don't want to miss a grant cycle, and that's a serious problem. I mean, if you miss them, sometimes they're on a 2-year rotation, and you missed them for 2 years. And so, if anybody has any suggestions about people they know that might be interested in doing some grant seeking or some outreach to businesses, just because of a personnel shortage, we have not pursued them. I think pursuing, going to the Ho-Chunk Nation, for instance, or the Metawankton Sioux, occasionally they make $1 or $2 at Treasure Island, and they have a grant program. These are all former tribal lands, or they were originally tribal lands. Let me put it that way. And I wouldn't be averse if we had the personnel resources on the fundraising committee to exploring that. But right now we don't have the people power to go after some of those things.
We need some more help. That's the other voice. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Any other
Scott?
business or new business for the group?
Scott, did you want to mention the cleanup?
Yeah, I actually would like to chat about that cleanup effort. So I believe that I've filled in the majority of you, but just for good measure, I had a conversation with Kinney River Land Trust, and the original plan was for us to kind of merge and support their efforts as far as their Earth Week cleanup goes. And within a couple of days, I was actually sitting down to draft an email to everybody on the KinniCC board with regards to this and get the ball rolling. And for good measure, I looked at their post and it had already filled up within like 2 or 3 days. So all of their slots were totally full. So I told them, if you guys don't mind, we'll just go ahead and support with a social media post to fill those last couple of slots, or to help fill those last couple of slots. I don't know that they needed it. And we will shift to our plan B. Plan B is and was to work with the garage, that section that you and I talked about, Judy.
Valdez Heater.
I sent out an email to everybody involved in that conversation, and I don't know that Matt replied to everybody, but he just replied back to my email the other day, and it sounds like he has confirmed that the city is already on that space, and it's his thought, being directly involved himself, that it would make the most sense for us to not get in the way of that and just allow them to let it be what it will be. So there's plan A and plan B. I don't know if anybody has any ideas for a plan C for a spring cleanup effort. I think we're getting a little bit close to Earth Week to pull something together of substance, but we could just continue to, I guess, work on some ideas for just a general cleanup effort. Any thoughts?
Well, I think supporting those existing ones with our media would be a helpful thing.
Yep, and that's something they already did a post, and KRLT was appreciative of that. So that has been done, and I think that's something we should continue to do. So,
Yep. Well, I'll make sure the PR committee does that.
Okay.
And
Our
you know, that may
individual-
be helpful to post on the River Falls events page as well, not just our Facebook, but that River Falls events page has kind of a broad reach.
Okay, we'll check that
And-
out too. Make sure that we'll see what KLRT has done.
They haven't put anything on that page yet.
I will talk to Molly over at KLRT and find out why they haven't.
And then what about on the chamber calendar?
Isn't that part of is the River Falls events page run by the chamber?
No,
No.
Separate? Okay.
yes.
Scott, do you want to check and see what the chamber's doing?
Yeah, I can definitely do that.
You could put something in the calendar so it's on that news feed on the chamber's newsletter.
Right.
I know that they've adjusted their platform a couple of times over the years, but I believe they have a portal where you can go in and update
They
your
do.
organization's
Yep.
events.
Right.
So yeah, that would be a great thing to get on our radar.
Yep.
I'll
Definitely,
chat with Russ about that. We have a tourism committee meeting coming up, so I'll chat with him about that and then email out a link with that information.
Okay.
And then before we move on from that, one other kind of offshoot conversation of that initial spring cleanup conversation I had with Charlene and KRLT, as well as Chris By. We had a good exchange about our two organizations and our overall effort, and kind of the big picture that we're all fighting for. And Charlene actually suggested that it may be a good idea for us to have in the not so distant future, just a good collaborative entire collective board meeting between our two organizations. So I wanted to
joint board.
A joint board meeting. Yep.
Okay.
At some point in the not so distant future. I wanted to run that by you guys. Judy, I know you have a lot of direct contact with Charlene, so I don't want to step on any toes when it comes to communication, but they had mentioned it may be a good idea, and I guess I personally don't see why that would not be a great idea. Any
I
thoughts
think
on
that's great, and whenever we can arrange it. So yeah, I think Charlene's gone until the 20th or 21st.
Yep.
But we'll connect with them once she gets back. They're having a change in president in July too. So, and some board member turnover as always. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
Okay, so I'll plan to
Keep
follow-
that
follow
hot.
up email, keep that conversation rolling, and then it may make the most sense to wait until we can meet in person, possibly because that could be a cluttered meeting over Zoom.
Maybe we can go out and walk around the trails at the community forest together or something.
Yeah, meet at the river. That'd be a
Yeah,
fitting.
meet at the river, nice and safe.
Yeah.
Good thinking. Thank you for the suggestions, Michelle, on the event page in Chamber. It's good idea.
Good point, good call out.
Another suggestion I have is next week I have an event with the agricultural. It's for the university and it's their agricultural day event. And so they're going to be here at the theater, and I anticipate about 100 ag students with their FL, whatever that organization is. And so, that may be a place where a brief introduction to what we're up to could be helpful to coordinate what they're up to and how that translates as a connection. I honestly say, I know that I cannot come up with 2 concise sentences about what we're up to be able to tie in to who they are and what they're doing. It's a celebratory day for them, and they're going to watch a movie here and have a little pre-show and so forth. But that being said, and it may only be me, but I would just like to be able to put in 2 sentences a concise statement about what we're doing. And I don't feel like I can do that yet. It feels so yet broad, and it has not given me enough concrete. And I feel like this is what continues to affect my ability to go out and make easy, concise choices about how I can contribute. And again, I want to be helpful. I've obviously had a year of extremely disruptive. I'm probably putting in 80-hour weeks right now. So that being said, it's, I'd like to be able to talk to these people. I'm certainly a representative. I think it's important. You never know what you get out of that. It's kind of a fishing opportunity, but I mean, they're a captive audience, for God's sakes. So, let me say something to them.
One thing that I can suggest, I know I can understand where you're coming from, Michelle. There are a lot of pots on the burner and a lot of stakeholders and entities involved in what we're doing. So it can get to be a little bit difficult to explain to people who are unfamiliar with our charge. But a really good place to start that I've always gone back to is our mission statement. It's a really good, concise, 2-sentence long description of what exactly we're doing. And then the conversation can kind of form itself from there. Just an idea, something that I've done.
I see that, and I thought about that, Scott, to be honest. And yet for me, it's just not the conversation I have with people. I'm really clear about that because it's not a step by step. It is a intent. It isn't a step. It's an intent. And so I want to be clear about what steps these students could take. What would matter about this relationship? I'm kind of out there with what would matter. I mean, if they're looking to move forward, how might this, like, for example, I just think to myself, how much in the Baraboo and that community, how many farmers were impacted and had a direct tie-in to what they did on that river? They had a lot. And I just, all of these kids are obviously not going into farming, but they're coming from farming, So anyways, if you guys can, you can mull that over, and if there's any comments about it, I certainly will go back to the mission statement, Scott, and I appreciate that, and think about that. But I just want to put that out there because it just helps me stay grounded in this opportunity of my participation. To speak clearly about where exactly I am at in the process.
And what's the organization name again, Michelle?
It is the Gosh, Judy,
It's like the
it's like
Future Farmers of
3
America?
It's like
or the
3 letters
Future-
and I can't even tell you what it is. It's the FFLA, I want to say, or it's
FFA,
a group.
Okay,
And
Future Farmers of America.
is it that?
Yeah, it's usually FFA.
Okay. Yeah,
Future Farmers of America. Yep.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
These are
Okay.
the guys that alumni group is the one that puts on the tractor pull for the River
Yep.
Falls days, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the Kuzliks is very active in that group on the Lower Canyon. So I know that there's a tie in there in terms of changing the character of the river, both of the community forest work, as well as things that will happen once the dam is gone, right? So there's a couple of things that, downstream that might make sense.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay. To think about how we give you a couple bullets under the mission that will help you with that, Michelle.
Yeah, and how it relates to them.
Yep,
That would
yep.
be good.
Okay.
If anybody can fill that in on the minutes, whatever, I will keep an eye out. That
If we can look at what FFA kind of focuses on and what their mission or focus is, if it's developing that agricultural leadership, right? Then, yeah, okay.
Good.
Thank you for letting us know about that. Just send it to you by email?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Great. Okay. Anybody else? These are great things. Thank you for sharing these updates. Okay. If not, 6:31, we are prompt. I'll call the meeting to adjournment.
Okay.
And, thank you,
Thanks.
everybody, for your time and effort, and keep the conversation going, Duke. We'll look forward to seeing that meeting invite for the lobbyists.
Yep, we'll keep you posted. Thank you.
I'm going to stop recording.
Everyone.
I can
Bye,
figure out how to
everyone.
do it.
Good to see everybody.
You too. Have a nice night.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you, everybody.